Hi guys! Today we'll be making this cute miniature fish tank. This is a fun project that you can customize to look however you want by either changing up the decorations or the fish. I worked in 1:12 scale for this video, but you can work in any size you want. Let's get started. For the base of the tank I used a wide popsicle stick and just cut it down to the size I wanted the tank. For the rest of the structure I'll be using matches, which I cut down and thinned down to fit the scale a little better. Then I cut down the pieces like so I could essentially assemble it all to a box. Then I used acrylic paint to paint all the pieces. Once the paint is dry, we're ready to start assembly. For the glass part of the fish tank, we're going to use this clear packaging, which is just clear plastic from a Barbie doll, I believe, which I'm going to cut out to fit inside each of the little sections. Use a glue that dries clear and make sure you seal every edge of the plastic to make sure the tank can hold the resin we'll be putting in later. I worked my way around the tank doing one side at a time so it had time to dry and become stable before I moved on. Once the tank was assembled, I gave the frame a layer of Mod Podge to get a nice shine. For the sand base in the tank, I used these very small pebbles, but a little rougher than regular sand, mixed in some glue and then packed this into the bottom of the tank. Now set that aside to dry so we can start working on the decorations. I'll be sculpting in Fimo clay on a ceramic base that my friend made for me, and I went for an ancient Greek kind of look and wanted to make pillars that look like they belonged in some kind of old temple. So that's the look I went for. For sculpting I use my basics like my X-Acto knife, dotting tools, and I have a dental tool that I like to sculpt with, but you can use whatever you have and prefer. If you're unsure what decorations you want to make, just search on Google for fish tanks because there's tons of good inspiration on there. To give my piece an ancient look, I went in with my X-Acto knife and kinda carved away some of the pieces to make it look deteriorated. Finally, I went over the surface with a toothbrush to rough it up a bit. Then bake the piece according to package instructions. After cooling, I added some acrylic paint for effect on the surface, and then I sealed it in with a glaze. I also wanted something to look like a broken old statue, so that's what I sculpted next. Once both pieces are ready, you can glue them in place in the tank. I decided to paint a background for my tank, but you can skip this if you want, and I just use acrylic paint for this on some sketchbook paper. To give the tank a bit more detail, I glued in some different size of small pebbles and also some dried moss in different shades. Now all we need is the fish. I prefer sculpting the fish laying flat, so I work on one side at a time because I think it gives me more control. To add color to my fish, I'll be using mica powders for a nice shimmery effect, but you can also use eyeshadow or chalk pastels. I stuck the little front fin in place with a drop of liquid clay before I baked it for a few minutes. Once cooled, you can flip the fish over and add clay to the other side and sculpt it the way we did it first. I forgot to film it, but I also added the mica powder to the other side before I baked it. For the final touch, I added the eyes and a few stripes using acrylic paint before sealing it in with glaze. And that's one fish done. I only made 2 fish for my tank because I didn't want it to look too crowded with the props I had already made, but you can make as many fish as you want. Once your fish are done, you can glue them in place in the tank. I glued one to a rock in the foreground and the other to one of the props more in the background. Now all you have to do is mix up your resin. I'll be using solid water, but you can use whatever resin you want. The only little cup I had to mix in was pink. This is kind of misleading, the resin is clear, but mix it together according to package instructions and then you can start pouring it in. I poured in a little at first and swirled it around, trying to avoid air pockets in the moss and in the stones and such, and then I filled it up to the top. Allow the resin to cure and then we're done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in a new one real soon. Bye!